Hey, what's going on, big ballers? Welcome into another episode of Fantasy Football Sports Minds. It's your boy MJG coming at you with your boy Joe the Birdman. Joe, how you doing today?
Doing pretty well. It's been an interesting fantasy football week for me. A lot of changes had to be made, and I really don't know what to expect, but it's all good. It's all fun. How about
Oh
you?
yeah,
How's everything
definitely.
going?
It's been good, man. Just a lot of adjustments. There's been a lot of injuries. I know if a lot of people are dealing with IR. Man, it's been fantasy limbo. Just to start off with this week's updates and injuries. I mean, the most important one is Justin Jefferson. He is on IR. A lot of people are making pickups. I know people are obviously scrambling right now. Uh, what are some of the pickups that you're making in place of Justin Jefferson, Joe?
Well, um, just wanted to share really quickly. I have one league where I have Justin Jefferson, James Conner, and Devon A. Chain. So I only have two IR spots, but just, puts me in a horrible place this week. So I am scrambling, trying to make some moves, but these are some players in this league. So it's slim pickings on the wire. So
Oh
I've
yeah.
got, I picked up KJ Osborne in one league that I had Justin Jefferson. I was able to get him. Uh, there's a chance Josh Palmer might be out there. I actually had someone drop him in one league last minute because they had to pick someone up to play over Aaron Jones. So they didn't know what to do. Palmer was on a bye. They dropped him because they, had to pick up someone from the Raiders or Green Bay. So I got Josh Palmer in one league, KJ Osborne. Curtis Samuel's had two good games in a row. So he's not a bad option if he's available, which he probably is, or you could at least trade real low to get him. And then one guy that's probably available is Rashee Rice. He's been getting 8 to 12 points every week and looked really good last week. Still available in 25% of ESPN leagues. Those are the guys at wide receiver that I would say you could look to. And then a long shot, maybe Rondell Moore. He's going to get more carries. I mean, he's a wide receiver, but he's involved in the run game just a little bit. And since James Conner's out, Amari Demercado is going to be the running back because Keontae Ingram is still, down with that neck injury. It's probably pretty serious if it's a neck injury. So Rondell Moore, he's been super efficient with the limited opportunities he's had. Week 1, he had 2 carries for 12 yards, nothing special. But, I mean, it's still, on 2 carries, 12 yards, not bad at all. But then week 3, he had 3 carries for 54 yards and a touchdown. And last week, he had 3 carries for 50 yards. So there's a chance, it's a long shot, there's a chance Rondell Moore might have a big week. So those are the wide receivers I would say, there's a good chance you can grab one of them if you don't have someone on your bench to plug in place of Justin Jefferson.
Definitely agree with that. A lot of good names in there. A guy that was actually getting a lot of looks near the end of that Vikings game, Brandon Powell, number 4. I actually got him confused with Jordan Addison near that game. I thought Jordan Addison was getting all those looks, and I was
I did
super
too.
happy. I was like, yeah, racking up some points because I had him in my team. And no, it was actually Brandon Powell. He looked really good. So
He
he's
did.
somebody that could actually get surprisingly, some good looks in that offense. While I see Justin Jefferson's out. Who knows how long he's going to be out for. Um, Someone that actually got a really high snap count last week, Michael Wilson, wide receiver for the Cardinals. He had obviously the blow up game 2 weeks ago. He had 2
Yeah.
touchdowns, obviously, but he had 75% of the snap count, and he only had 2 targets last week, which was obviously his lowest targets in since week 1. But he was a rookie second round pick, so I think that and then obviously that was also Josh Dobbs' worst game of the
Yeah.
season so far since he started. So I think there's definitely some guys there that you could take a flyer on. These are your wild card picks, guys you could just stash on the bench, not really guys you're going to plug and play. But at this point, I mean, people are desperate. You're going to pick these guys up. You're going to probably make some moves. I know I've made some moves. I traded sometimes you got to take your superstar and break them down to two starters, and that's just how you survive in fantasy football. Who knows? Maybe those two
Absolutely.
starters can actually outproduce that superstar, because fantasy is like the stock market. You have your ups and your downs, and you got to make moves. And just to kind of notate all the guys that are out, you did mention obviously Justin Jefferson, James Conner, Devin Chain, three fantasy studs. I know in the offseason we did talk about the possibility of James Conner being out, so that's something that people did expect, right?
Yeah,
Even during our
absolutely.
player profiles, we did talk about that. But also Anthony Richardson, he is on IR, so Anthony Richardson's going to be out for some time. We
Which I
do have
just
some
found out, by
players.
the way. I did not know that until you told me. We were talking right before the show. I did not realize he was out.
Yeah, he's on IR, so they're just taking it smart with him. Obviously, Gardner Minshew's been solid. He played in Shane Steichen's offense in Philly, so he knows that offense well. So it's going to be more of a traditional passing attack now, West Coast. So that might actually be an improvement for Michael Pittman and my Michael Pittman owners. But a couple players coming back from injury. Jeff Wilson should be coming back from IR this week, so that could be a little boost for some people, some owners, fantasy owners. And Deontay Johnson, obviously, Pittsburgh's on a bye week this week, but Deontay Johnson should be coming back next week, week 7. So that's just some relief for fantasy owners. Obviously, those of you that need more immediate relief, like I said, make a trade. You got to do what you got to do. I know me and this guy here try, people are going to say this is a ridiculous trade, but he was desperate. He's 1-4 in one of the leagues. He tried to make a trade Justin Jefferson for James Cook, and people saw that as a huge, fancy taboo move, because obviously he needed to win now. He made the move, and obviously my team's a little bit loaded, so
Your
I could
team's
afford to give
great,
up.
and they didn't want you
Yeah.
to have McCaffrey and Justin Jefferson. I understand that. But it was a fair trade, and it's like,
Uh,
I either accept defeat or I do whatever I got to do. And I was trying to make a move. Got to keep fighting. I'm just not going to lay down and die. They didn't let it
Yeah.
happen.
Well, I don't know about fair, but it was a lot of risk involved, right? I could
A
lose
lot
a
of risk.
player, for nothing, right? Give up a player for nothing. You have something to gain, but obviously the league was worried that if I get Justin Jefferson healthy, then obviously I'm unstoppable, right? And I get that. But
Yeah, I
that's
get
okay.
that.
I'll make another trade here. They haven't seen the last of me yet. So
And
but
under the
regardless, moving on here.
circumstances, I do not think it was unfair. So
That's all right. Let's move on to the next segment here.
it's getting hot in here, isn't it, Manny? Damn.
It's fuego in here, bro.
Damn. Who's your first hot matchup of the week?
My first hot matchup of the week is going to be the Colts versus the Jaguars. Jaguars. I think it's going to be a great matchup. Both teams been kind of finding their identity on offense lately. I know Colts just lost. We talked about Anthony Richardson going on IR, but I told you Gardner Minshew played in that offense before. Shane Steichen, they're we're aware of it, and they looked really great last week. So Zach Moss has been really going off. He had almost 200 all-purpose yards last week. Obviously, Michael Pittman's a stud. So you're going to expect the Colts to really play off of that success last week. And of course, Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence hasn't had his coming out game yet. Travis Etienne did last week. He had 2 touchdowns, over 100 rushing yards. So he's going to repeat off of that. And of course, Christian Kirk has already been balling. Kevin Ridley finally had a good game last week too. So you're gonna see some high scoring. Jags do have a little bit better defense than they have been much of the year, so they might step up. Colts also have a solid D. It is a divisional game, so divisional games can seem to be a little bit tougher than the others, or they could be high scoring. So I don't think it's the AFC North we're talking about here, right? This is the AFC South. So I think it could definitely turn out to be something pretty high scoring. I hope, anyways. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure about that game. Um, like you said, the defenses on both sides have been pretty good, but the offense has been too. And I know they're without Richardson, but um, it's not like they've just got a rookie stepping in to fill his shoes. And Josh Downs has looked good too. Surprisingly, he's getting a lot of targets. And then Pittman, and you got two good weapons and a quarterback that knows how to throw the ball. And I do think Trevor Lawrence is getting frustrated, but should bounce back and have a solid weekend. Despite his poor playing, Christian Kirk's been solid as a rock. Ridley reminded everyone how good he can look out there on the field. So ATN has been awesome. I think there's enough weapons that it's going to nullify the defense to a degree. Now, let me tell you about my first hot matchup of the week. I have the Cowboys versus the Chargers. And I know the Cowboys defense has been rock solid, but the Chargers are going to get Eckler back. Justin Herbert's fine. He'll play. They've both been great, obviously. And even though you got Mike Williams out, you've got Keenan Allen and Josh Palmer. I think there's, again, enough weapons on the offense for the Chargers that the defense, as great as they've looked all around, will not be as much of a factor. And I think the Cowboys have to have a bounce-back week. CeeDee Lamb and Pollard should bounce back. Dak Prescott, he's always been a little shaky, but I think it's going to be a back-and-forth game. I think it's going to be high-scoring, and I think it's going to be close. So that'll be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, definitely. You're right. Eckler coming back. They're going to feed the rock because Chargers have been, they were moving the ball pretty well with Keenan Allen. So they're going to repeat off that success. Obviously, get Eckler involved a little bit because outside of those two guys, they lost Mike Williams. They might feed Joshua Palmer a little bit, but, nobody outside of that offense really is consistent. They're going to spread it around, maybe Donald Parham or Gerald Everett. It's really going to be toss up whoever's open at that point. And on the Cowboys side, they need to, get some momentum to show them who them boys are, right? They want people to believe in them. They need that hype. Defense is great, but that offense needs to get rolling for them to actually believe that they have a shot, if they want to compete in the league, especially after being embarrassed last week. So they definitely need to do something if they want to actually prove that they have a shot to win something this year.
Yeah, there's a big game for both, for sure. So who's your second hot matchup you got this week?
My second hot matchup, so I do have the Bengals versus the Seahawks. So I think that's definitely going to be a high scoring.
I almost picked that one too.
Yeah, and then after the week Bengals had last week, Joe Burrows finally looks like that calf isn't bugging him as much. I'm sure he still has some lingering issues. But 3 touchdowns to Jamar Chase, man, that was an incredible week last week. T. Higgins still going to be out, so I don't think you're going to have that kind of week last week, but maybe some more Joe Mixon action. You might see a little bit more to him there because, Seahawks have really been improving upon the passing attack, and they did have a bye week last week. The week before that, they destroyed the Giants on Monday Night Football, I think, so you've seen a lot of those highlights, so maybe they're going to build off that momentum, but I think that's why the stats look a little bit lopsided right now to show the Seahawks a little bit better defensively. But I think both teams are really going to go at each other's throats. They're going to really hit each other hard, and you're going to see some points being put on the board because both teams have elite run games. They both have elite wide receivers and pretty good quarterbacks. So you're going to see some points being thrown on the board.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just checking right now. Is Geno Smith healthy?
I think he was questionable, or limited in practice, but he wasn't. He should be playing because then he missed a back half of that game the last game. Like he missed like the third quarter and then he finished the game or something like that because Drew Lock only came in for like a quarter or something like that. And then, Geno's finished the game.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. I just checked. It said he's fine. So that's good. I wasn't sure about that. You see those Q tags go up, and sometimes it's nothing. It's just a rest day. Other times you're like, damn, I wish I saw that sooner. So I remember
that bye
looking
week
at that.
Helped.
Yeah, big time. And I think that's what they're going to do with a lot of these players that have a chance to come back. If they have a bye week, you can expect them to take another week just as an added precaution, unless it's really necessary to plug them in.
Oh yeah, definitely. And what
You
about
know,
your matchup? What's your second matchup? Hot matchup of the week?
my second one is the Lions versus the Bucks. Um, the Lions offense has been firing on all cylinders. You got Montgomery, Laporta, Goff, and Monra should be back. Um, Jameson Williams in the mix now too. You just got too many weapons. Gibbs, I think Gibbs is going to slowly start to increase as the year goes on with his production. So, um, even though the Buccaneers defense is pretty good, I feel like the Lions offense, similar story to the first time. Um, the Lions offense is going to, be spreading the ball around. They're going to be running the ball. They're going to be passing the ball. They're just going to be doing what they do. And the Buccaneers, I don't know if they're going to have Mike Evans back, but Baker Mayfield's been surprisingly good. And even though the Lions defense has been good too, it's mostly their run defense. So I feel like Baker's going to be able to pass the ball. If Mike Evans is back, then he's got Godwin and Mike Evans, and Rashad White has been good. So, he's a pass catcher. Um, they're probably not going to be, involving him as much as Godwin and Evans, but I think it's going to be a high scoring game. And I expect it to go above 50 points. That might be a little bold, but I feel like both of these teams are going to be playing high powered offense.
Oh yeah, definitely. And if you remember, obviously from the off season, Lions is one of my favorite offenses going into the season. Like I've been bullish on the Lions, and I have heavy shares of the Lions in all my fantasy teams, and
I
it's
do
really
too.
paying off. I
Yeah.
mean, they look great. The only player I'm disappointed on from the Lions is of course Jameer Gibbs. He's the only one that's been disappointing. Outside of that, everybody else has been great. Um, Obviously by everybody else, David Montgomery, Sam Laporta, and obviously Amon Ra.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they've been and Jared Goff, of course. So they've all been great, fantasy wise. Um, but the Bucks as well. I mean, the Bucks have been a surprise, especially. I'm not going to pick up Baker Mayfield, but by any means. But um, you know, Chris Godwin, I knew he was going to be solid. Mike Evans was a great sleeper because he wasn't getting picked till the seventh, eighth round. He's
Yeah.
wide receiver
Big
like 5 or
time.
6 right now. Despite the hamstring, he still put up some amazing numbers. And then Rashad White has been pretty solid as well. And he's a much better pass catcher. He does look better than he did last year. That O line is better
Oh,
than last
yeah.
year. So
Definitely
Bucks have been a
noticeably
pleasant
better.
surprise. So I can see that being a great game. Happy to have shares of both teams in any one of my leagues. So definitely looking forward to seeing that game and seeing the result because I do have investments in both. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for your cold call of the week here. Brr. Joe, what's your first cold call of the week?
I was trying to shiver, and it looked more like Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yeah.
But
He puts the lotion on his skin or he gets the hose again.
that was
What's
Buffalo
your cold
Bill.
call of the week?
My
Oh
cold
yeah.
call of the week is the Ravens versus the Titans. I feel like the offense for both teams has been pretty bad, and the defense has been pretty good. So um, the Ravens like to run the ball, and Tennessee probably has the best run defense in the league right now. They've looked amazing. So it's hard to say how the game is going to play out. I think it's going to be messy. And I see that, the Titans on offense are just bad. They can't pass the ball. They can't run the ball. And it sucks because, Derrick Henry is not looking like himself. DeAndre Hopkins is not looking like himself. And, they've had decent games here and there, but overall the offense stinks. And their defense is good. And the same thing with the Ravens. Their offense has been all over the place. Nothing's consistent. They like to run the ball, but they don't really have a backfield. And running against the Titans is difficult. Lamar could go off and just do what he does. But outside of Zay Flowers, he doesn't really have many people to pass to. Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers. So that's the only way I see them putting up points and get. I do think they're going to win the game, but I think it's going to be a low scoring affair. So I'd stay away from those guys. Just unless you've got Mark Andrews. If you need to play Zay Flowers, he's definitely a good play. And Lamar, I'm playing Lamar in one league, but I'm not confident in what he's going to be able to do with his legs this week.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the way people play those teams, they just stack the box. I mean, that's how they play Lamar last week, force him to beat you through the air, and then he can't do it. Just double team Mark Andrews and force Lamar to beat you through the air, and he couldn't do that last week. And OBJ, like that pass to OBJ that got picked off in the end zone, that was underthrown so bad.
Yeah,
So it
that was
wasn't even
bad.
OBJ's fault. They try to say it was a lack of effort, like you can't underthrow a ball worse than that. Like that was all Lamar. You could say like it was chemistry. Like you didn't even give him a chance to make a jump. At least give him a jump ball. Like that was just straight to the defender. But on the other side as well, Titans is the offense is so unexplosive. It's boring.
Yeah, it is
Stack
so
the box.
boring.
It's going to be. I mean, when you have Ryan Tannehill back there, he's past his prime. That guy should be mentoring those young guys. Like you should have one of those young guys out there throwing the ball. You shouldn't have Tannehill over there. People know what you're going to do, so they're not surprised by what you're
Right.
doing. You're going to do a big formation, I formation. You're going to do twin tight ends. You're going to do split backs. You're going to do the same nonsense, and then people, they're guarding against it. So guess what? And it is a 9:30 game in London. Like, guess what's going to happen? It's going to be
Good
low scoring
point.
like every other London game.
Good point.
Like
I didn't
people are
even think
not going
about
to.
that.
It's going to be a time zones difference. It's going to be jet lag. Like these guys are going to be off their routine. So it's going to be like worse than a Thursday game. So this is just going to be a horrible situation.
Yeah.
So I just, if you have any investment in these teams, I'm sorry, but you need to make trades. There's the guy in the league that keeps trying to trade DeAndre Hopkins. There's a reason why.
Yep.
Because, it's just going to be an inconsistent offense. You don't want any part of it. That's
Yeah.
just what it
Last week
is.
was big. He's probably going to go back down, and then if he has 2 good weeks in a row, I might change my tune a little bit, but I don't know. This might not be the week for that. What about you, Manny? Who's your cold call of the week?
My cold call is to stay away from two closely related shit teams named the Patriots and the Raiders. And they're related because the the Raiders are ran by a former Patriot named Josh McDaniels. And they're ran very similarly and craply by Josh McDaniels. They run that thing like a damn prison, man. It's like you can't have no fun. You can't talk bad about this place, or we are gonna put you in jail. Look at Chandler. Was it Chandler Parsons? He got released by a team. He's facing charges now. Henry Ruggs is in jail. No, I'm just kidding. He did that to himself.
Yeah, he did.
But they are just man, a hard offense to watch. Like Jimmy Garoppolo looked like a decent quarterback last year in San Fran. You could tell it's the system because in Josh McDaniel's system, that guy makes Jacoby Myers look like wide receiver one, and they can't even get the ball to Devontae Adams. And then those
Yeah, what are
those
they doing
yards,
there?
Josh Jacobs. I know I told people buy on Josh Jacobs, and he's gonna get you those points. But me and you were talking about this. It's gonna be a slow grind fest. Like he's gonna get you your
Always.
15 to 20 points, but he's gonna get them to you 0.02 points at a time. He's gonna grind them out.
I
It's
don't
gonna be
think it's going to
slow and
get any
ugly.
better as the season goes on. I know you're talking about him getting in football shape, but you can't grind like that for a full season, you know?
I don't think so. I think that he's gonna be a guy that you're not gonna. He's not a league winner for like he
No.
was last year. Like he doesn't. I think the wear and tear is gonna wear down on him. That O line's a little bit beat up. I mean, Devontae Adams is already fed up with it. Like you could tell when the players don't buy in, when the culture's not really right, because you could tell when players are not buying into a system. You can see where there's something else going on. And obviously like Josh Jacobs wasn't happy and now he got paid and now he's happy. He's not happy. He got his money, but he's not happy. Devontae Adams isn't happy. Jimmy Garoppolo isn't happy. Like there's a lot of dysfunction in that organization. And then Patriots are just a shit show and they're not happy. They have no offense. This is gonna be the worst season. You might even see Bill Belichick get fired after this season. It's that much of a
That's crazy.
dysfunction.
The
That's how
last
bad
two
it is. So
games for
if
Mac Jones have been atrocious. And
you
then
might
he's
even see
starting
Bailey
again.
Zapp back in there. I mean, they need a spark. I mean, if I would love to see Bailey Zapp because I got Hunter Henry in one of my leagues is my
Yeah.
starting tight end. I could use a boost to my tight end. He at least get me 8 points a game for my tight
Bet
end.
you better than zero.
Yeah, but that's pretty much where you're at. Just stay the hell away from that game. Like I said, if you got Josh Jacobs, I know I said buy low on him. He's gonna be your RB3 flex. Like, you could sell if somebody wants to buy high on him, sell him off. I'm not
Try to
saying
get
he's
rid of him
gonna,
now, or
yeah, sell
maybe he'll
high
have
on
a
him
big
now.
game, and then you can get rid of him if it's not the right time. But
Right now, he has two 20-point games. You could sell high on him right now. Get rid of him while people, because if you actually watch those games, it's only a matter of time before people start catching on and seeing like the type of dysfunction that's going on in Las Vegas. And it's not
mm,
pretty. Like that place is just, there's something about it. There's a negativity that you just don't want to be a part of, like as a fantasy football owner. Trust me. You want to I
yeah,
sold my shares of Devontae Adams and I'm done. Like I want nothing with it. Trust me.
I still kind of like Jacoby Myers, but it's just because of the value. You probably got him late, so you could plug him in and be happy with him as a flex play because he's putting up much better numbers than anyone expected.
Better than Devontae.
Yes. It's time for the shit call of the week. What was your shit call of the week last week?
Well, Joe, that's real easy. Them cowgirls made that shit call real easy for me. I said that last week the Niners versus the Cowboys was gonna be the high scoring game. And yeah, the Niners scored 42. The Cowboys didn't do nothing. They did 10. They threw they had three interceptions, two fumbles, and they didn't score anything. They were just completely horrific on prime time. They're talking a big game and they just didn't back it up. So they made me look bad. And you guys better not come in our house in Philly and play a good game after you did that with the Niners, because guess what? That shit ain't gonna happen, boys. Not in our house. All right, not after you play like that. Don't pretend like you're good now. Okay, the whole world's seen it. We know what you are. You're pretenders. Okay, so thanks for making me look bad.
They actually made me look kind of good just with my call because I know we don't like to boast about the big balls calls because usually we're going to get those wrong because they're big balls calls. But I did say the Niners are going to win by 2 touchdowns, and they exceeded my expectations. And, you know, we knew that the Cowboys defense was good, but we all had questions about their offense. They did play the Niners. Niners are one of the best teams in the league. So tough matchup. Cowboys are going to bounce back. But, it was a high scoring game, just not as evenly matched as most people expected. And my shit call was I said I wasn't sure about playing Cooper Kupp. I said if you have him, of course you're going to put him in, but don't expect him to do big things. He's been limited in practice all week. They're going to ease him back in. Nope. He came right back in. He looked incredible. He looked like he never skipped a beat. He had 12 targets, 8 catches, and 118 yards, and he looked real good doing it. So I expected him to be limited. I said, be cautious. If you have a better option, play them. Obviously, you don't really have any better options if you held on to Cooper Kupp, but I just did not expect him to play that well. I expect him to do like half of the production that he did. So pleasantly surprised, but I was surprised.
And I did say he was running some routes last week, though, right? Doing that footwork, and he looked sharp. I was
Yeah.
like, Cooper Kupp is gonna cook her ass, but I was like, Rivers. I was like, stay away from Rivers because the run game is dead.
Yeah, and
And sure enough,
we talked about Rivers being a deep league flex
a
play
stash.
or a stash because Kyron they had injured and
Did he
listed as
even
limited
play?
all week too. It was
He
just a
was
bad
he
game.
was on a limited workload, right?
Yeah, it was a
Kyron was.
bad game for for the
both
backfield
running
altogether.
backs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you. I was like, Philly #1 run game and the run defense in the
Yeah,
league.
you
It's gonna be
said they're
hard to
going to
run on
pass the
them.
ball. You said that, Philly secondary's hurting and expect a lot of passing, and that's all they did. So,
Yeah, Nakua and Cooper Cup
yeah,
both, man. They both had over
Puka looked
10
great too.
targets and
And
they
Tutu
killed it.
Atwell even got a touchdown. He didn't do well at all, but he had a touchdown. So,
Yeah, but both those guys had over 10 targets. That was crazy.
yeah.
But yeah, it was a good game for them. Good game. And yeah, I mean, at least we won that game. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, good game.
All right, everybody, it's time to pull out them big old cojones because it's your big ball call of the week.
Let him drop.
All right, Joe, what is your big balls call this week, Joe?
Well, as you touched on earlier, the Bengals looked like they're back in peak form, the way they should have looked much sooner than everyone expected. But they looked great last week. Yeah, they played the Cardinals, but Cardinals haven't been that bad either. So I think since they're finally starting to get their shit together, that their offense is just going to be really good. It's going to be a high-scoring affair against Seattle. And even though Seattle's run defense is pretty good, I think the Bengals can get up early by passing the ball. Burrow to Jamar again and again, score a couple touchdowns, and then they're just going to lean on Mixon and give him the volume that they always do. And I expect with that volume, Mixon to get a couple goal line carries and score 2 touchdowns. So I'm saying Joe Mixon gets 2 touchdowns against Seattle this weekend.
All right, yeah.
He's
Definitely
that
a
guy
big
that gets
balls call
multiple
there.
touchdowns too. He's always going to have one of those games. So this is a good time to do that.
Yeah.
What about you? What's your big balls call of the week?
Well, my big balls call of the week. So, you touched up earlier about the Bucks game, right? Being a high scoring game. Um, obviously, you touched about Mike Evans having a hamstring injury, possibly not playing, right? So I think that he might not play, and that means that Chris Godwin gets to step up and have his big game. So I think that Chris
He looked
Godwin is
good
a
last
top
week.
5 wide receiver. Yeah, he did. He was the main guy for half a game. So I think Chris Godwin ends up being a top 5 wide receiver this week, and he ends up over 10 receptions, over 125 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Oh
So
man,
that's
I
my
would
big
love
balls
that.
call. Not
I
saying they
would
win the
love that.
game, but hey, he gets his shine. So definitely worth plugging him in if you're looking at. I'm not a daily fantasy guy or anything like that, but he could definitely be a nice little plug and play for cheap for DFS. So definitely
Big
worth putting him
time.
in your lineups.
And if Evans doesn't play, I mean, there's no question that Godwin's going to be getting plenty of volume. And as we discussed, that's going to be a high scoring game, a lot of offense in that game. So I could totally see that. And I do have Mike Evans in a couple leagues, so I really want him to play. But I also have Godwin in one league. So I somehow ended up with Evans and Godwin on the same team. I wasn't paying attention doing a trade or something. But anyway, it is
Hey,
what it
that's a
is
good
now.
problem to have.
Not a bad problem.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here again here for Fantasy Football Sports Minds. We appreciate all the support, all the love. Don't forget to spam that like button, hit the share button, tell your friends about it. We're setting a video up every single Thursday, and we appreciate all the love. Joe, you got anything
And
for us here?
yeah, don't forget, check out the player profiles. Every day of the week, we release a player profile, except for the weekends, because the weekends we're watching football. But 6 days a week, we're making videos. We've got 6 player profiles and the Thursday full episode. So just check out the player profiles. And like I said, always leave a comment if there's a specific player that you'd like us to review.
All right, we appreciate it, guys. You all have a good rest of your night. Thank you so much for joining us here, and we'll see you here same time, same place next week, guys. All right. Take care, guys. See you later.
Peace.